All right, guys, now we're going to talk about steps 3 and steps 4. Communicate and investigate. The reason I say both is you got to learn how to intertwine these two together. You can't just make fake conversation with somebody and then follow up asking a bunch of questions. It feels awkward and it's patronizing. You're going to learn how to blend these two together, okay? So after I do my proper meet and greet and then we start walking, we're walking together. I'm not walking in front or behind my customer. We're walking side by side. Then I'll just start conversation. I've always started the same way, okay? Even if there's only one person there, I'll say, so who's the lucky one getting a new car today? Excited, okay? When I say this, somebody's going to identify themselves. They say it's for me. I'm going to congratulate them. Okay, congratulations. How long have you been thinking about getting a new car? Okay, they're going to give me a time frame. Normally in this case, they'll actually start telling me stories. They'll say something like, oh, we've been shopping for a couple weeks. We went to the dealer closer to home, but they didn't have what we wanted. We called in, they told us they had it, but they didn't have it. They'll start telling you stories right now. During these stories, you better be active listening, okay? Every time they're starting to talk and tell you stories about something, they're giving you ways to close the car deal if you're paying attention. So always active listening, okay? So I'll ask them, who's the lucky one, okay? I'll always start there, okay? How long have you been shopping? Okay? If they know what they want, which most customers do, about 90% of our customers now know what they want before they arrive. If they know what they want, then I'll ask them, what is it about that one that jumped out to you? What do you like about that one? That one, okay? And then I'll usually try to find something to tie an emotion to, okay? And I'll ask them something like, so if this all works out today, what's the first trip you got in mind? Where do you plan on taking your new vehicle, okay? So I'm just gonna write here, what's the first trip? Now this all plays a part in your setups, traps, and your active listening, okay? So I'm gonna go through this with you in kind of fast motion here. And then I'm going to go back and kind of identify where these traps are being set and where I'm going to use this information later in the process to close my car deal. So after I do my meet and greet, identify if they're looking for something new or something pre-owned. Do you have something new or something pre-owned in mind? They say a pre-owned one. I'll identify right there. They have an exact vehicle. Do you have a specific vehicle you came to see? And they'll say, yes, it's whatever it is. It's a 2019 Toyota Tacoma. Okay, great. Who's the lucky one getting a new car today? Oh, it's going to be for me. Okay, congratulations. How long have you been thinking about getting a new car? They'll say, oh, we've been shopping for a couple weeks. We went to another store. They didn't have exactly what we wanted, or we couldn't agree to a deal, so forth. Okay, great. Let me ask you this. What is it about that 2019 Tacoma that jumped out to you the most? What is it about that vehicle you like? I'm finding their hot buttons now. Again, the questions I ask make conversation. They're not just yes or no questions. So they're going to keep talking right now. They're going to say, oh, that's the exact color I wanted. I tried to buy it new in 2021, but they had the big markup on it, so I couldn't afford it at that time. It's the exact army green color I wanted. That one has the moonroof. They start telling you everything you need right now to close this car deal later. And here's the thing. These are all setups that I'm going to use later to close this car deal. But when I get further down the line in my steps, I can't go back and ask these questions because they start realizing if they answer these questions, this is going to be used against them. So this is the time, shortly after hello, that I can get this information out that I need, okay? So I'll say, okay, what is it about that one that jumped out to you? They start telling me everything they like about the vehicle. I'm using my active listening, and I'm putting all this in my pocket. I'm going to pull this out later to close this car deal. Okay, now I want to get some emotion involved as well. Okay, great. It sounds like you picked out a nice one. If this all works out today, what's the first trip you got in mind? Where do you plan on taking your new car? And they start talking. This creates visualization. They start visually thinking of themselves in the vehicle, where they're going to be using it. And if I could tie more things that create emotion to it, whether it be kids, grandkids, a family reunion, maybe the coast, nice cool air, anything I could tie to that to create more emotion is what I'm going to use later to close this car deal. So if they say, oh, we don't got anything in mind, I'll help them out. I'll say, so not even a trip to the coast or maybe to the foothills or something? Where would you take this car if this worked out today? Usually when I follow up the second time, not only do they tell me where they would take it, but they're telling me where they are going to take it. Because remember, these people buy a car every 3.5 years. This is an event for them. They have something planned when this transaction goes down. And then they start telling me the whole story. So remember, you're almost always gonna have to ask twice. And then they'll say something like, yeah, we plan on taking it. We're gonna go see our daughter this weekend up in San Francisco. And so we plan on taking it out there and so forth. And then I'll talk about that. That creates emotion, that creates ownership. That makes them feel as if this transaction is already done. And nobody wants to lose what they came to get. So if they start feeling like they own this already, it's gonna be harder for them to give it back. That's why I go into this. By this time, I'm getting close to the vehicle. You only have so much time to get this information out right now. All of this right here are all setups and traps that I'm gonna use later that just feels like a normal conversation. That's the point. It feels like we're just talking, but all this information I'm getting is all gonna be used later to close this car deal. If I waste this time, which is you only got about a 2-minute window between hello and arriving at the car. I only have so much time. So during that time, if I waste this time talking about something that's not relevant, how's your day going? Boy, this weather's crazy. None of that applies to a car deal, and you're just wasting valuable time. Once I get to the vehicle, they're expecting you to open it up and so forth. So I can't stand there at the vehicle and try and carry a conversation. In their mind, they're going, what are we doing? It's hot out here. Let's get this transaction going. So every step has to be efficient. If I got a 2-minute window, that gives me enough time to get this information out, okay? I'm gonna come back to this later and tell you how this is gonna be used in the transaction, okay? Moving on to step 5, walk and choose. Now, like I said, most of these customers know what they want before they come in. That's very common, okay? Some don't. So if there's a customer that don't know what they want and they let you know, well, I'm just shopping, I'm not exactly sure what I want yet, I'm gonna ask them a different series of questions. If they know what they want, I can stick to my 4-part plan there. Who's the lucky one? How long you been shopping? What is it about that car? What's your first trip you have in mind? That's all the information I need. If they know what they want, every third-party site now has payment tools on it. Most of these customers have played with the payment. They have a pretty good idea what it takes to buy the car, okay? If they don't know what they want, then there's a different series of questions I need to ask. I'm still gonna ask who's the lucky one, okay? I'm still gonna ask how long you've been shopping. I'm still gonna ask these things because these are part of my setup that I need to use later, okay? But to narrow down what we're looking for, I'm gonna ask them questions that I know they know the answers to, okay? Let me ask you this, Mr. Customer. So I'm gonna ask him, what is it you want to keep and what's missing, okay? So I'll say, Mr. Customer, what's on your current car that you definitely want to keep on your next car? And I'll get them talking. Okay, perfect. So your car gets 30 miles a gallon. We want to keep something that's got the fuel mileage. It's cold AC, whatever the case is, right? I'll name off the things that I definitely want to keep because my follow-up question is the one that closes car deals, okay? So let me ask you this. What's your current car missing that you need the next one to do? This is what brought him into the store, okay? I need something that gets better fuel mileage. My car's been unreliable. We have a baby on the way. There's not enough room. We got an additional car seat. I have one in the car seat now. We're gonna have a second car seat, so I need a third row. This gets them talking. This is the reason they came into the store, okay? So after I ask these questions, I need to reiterate back to my customer, let them know I heard your answers, okay? Because this also sets up the most important question, the budget question, okay? So when I reiterate back to them, so if I understand you right, Mr. Customer, it needs to have this, this, and this, and in a perfect world, it would have this and this, and that would be the perfect car for you, is that right? I want them to agree. I also want to show value, let them know I heard their concerns. When they agree, I'll say, perfect. Now, if we found the perfect car that had all of that, What type of monthly budget have you set aside for that? Not payment. Payment's a trigger word that'll scare off your customer. It'll end your conversation. Okay? Reiterate what you heard. So if it had this, this, and this, that would be the perfect car, right? They say yes. I'll say perfect. And if we found the right one that had all of that equipment, what type of monthly budget have you set aside for that? When they tell me the number, if it's 500, I already know that's going to be about a $25,000 car. Okay? Every 5 grand is about $100. So I know I need to land them on something that's about 25 grand. When I ask these questions, and again, this is only 10% of your clientele. 90% of our customers know what they want. But I still need to know how to treat the 10% that don't. Okay? So after I ask these questions and they give me a budget, I need to make a suggestion at that point. I can't just walk the whole lot and tell them, hey, let me know if something jumps out to you. That defeats the purpose of screening. That defeats the purpose of asking these questions. That's not professional. So when I ask all these questions, they give me a number, I need to make a suggestion. Perfect, Mr. Customer. I think I got the perfect vehicle for you. Come with me. This is what they want. This shows confidence. This shows professionalism. This lets them know they're in the right place. Okay? So that's the second side of communicating and investigating. This is only 10%. When I first started selling cars, this was 100% of our customers. Today is so much easier with the help of the internet. 90% of our customers know exactly what they want. 10%, you got to do a little bit more legwork. Okay? So once I got the right vehicle,